worked hard all of his life. You know, some would say, you know, that old saying, he was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And at some point in time, he decided he wanted to go to law school and become a lawyer. But the problem was, as he was going through school, he was just highly enamored of trading. That's where his focus was. So he graduates from school with a degree in law, goes to work for a law firm, and literally in the first day, I think he told me the first 5 minutes, he decided, this isn't for me, I'm quitting. So after all that education and everything, he just quits and he decides he's just going to focus full-time on trading. So what's the problem?
I don't even know this story about you. How do I not know this story about you?
But I mean, so can you imagine, Jeanette? So here he is out of school with all this debt, and he decides he's going to go become a full-time trader. And within a year, he made enough money to pay off all of his debt, and the rest, you know, as they say, is kind of history. So, I mean, I could go on and on about Rob, but in short, I mean, he's kind of really achieved his goal as I've come to know him as a full-time trader and a serious part-time troublemaker and all-around scallywag.
That's right. That's right.
That's our man. And he's put his, I mean, literally, he's put his decades of experience to work, and he's building a successful trading portfolio. And today, you know, he's going to be talking about how to spot the biggest trades in the market. And he's going to be sharing best instruments for spotting the biggest trades, how to find the best 20-to-1 risk-reward trades, and why market sentiment doesn't matter if you're interested in monster trading. And with that, let me turn it over to Rob. Rob, we are delighted to have you with us today.
Thanks so much, Raleigh. Thanks, Jeanette. Thanks, everybody, for having me here. Super excited. So I'm here in the beach house in Jacksonville in a small, echoey room. And I wish you could see
you're over there slumming
outside.
At the beach in Jacksonville?
What's that?
You're slumming over there at the beach in Jacksonville?
I'm slumming in here at the beach in Jacksonville, exactly. I've been relegated to the broom closet in this beach house to do this presentation, and I could not be more excited. I'm super happy to be here, and I really appreciate the invitation so much.
Outstanding, Rob.
All right.
All right, you can share your screen, Rob, and we're gonna let you go. There it is.
There we go.
See it. And you have 1 hour, mister. It's all you.
All right. Hey, everybody. Super excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm always excited to talk about big trades, and they're the ones that don't come as often. And so before we begin this presentation, these are the kinds of trades that don't come around very often. And you can have just as full disclosure, you can have a higher losing percentage on these trades because the risk to reward is so extreme. But I think this is a perfect complement to any other kind of trading that you do, because if you've got something good and consistent, the earnings, the options trading, or any other kinds of trading that you're doing, this is a great complement to that. And these are the kinds of trades that ramp the account up a little bit quicker, take a little bit more risk, at least from the perspective of, you know, having a smaller win percentage in exchange to have some really, really big wins. And I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to follow Tom Sosnoff. That was awesome. I just, at the end of his presentation, I was just signing up for Dough. I just thought, I'm gonna try this out. I already have a Tastyworks account, so I thought I would sign up for Dough. So this is my top secret plan for grabbing some of the biggest trades. And the presentation is really straightforward because I just want to explain my 2020 trading approach, how I'm gonna execute it, and show you how to do the same thing if that's what you wanna do. But first, here's a question. Do you consider yourself a person of action? So throw a comment there in the comment section in the chat box or whatever. You consider yourself somebody, when you find something that you want, that you're willing to take action to get it. Most of you have said yes and are going to continue to say yes throughout this presentation. So what I want to ask you is, what are your plans then for 2020? I'm going to pull up the chat box here, and I'm going to look, and I'm just going to see what your plans for 2020 are. So just tell me what they're, you know, we're a few months into a really weird year of our lives, right? And what are your plans for 2020? What kinds of things, what kind of goals do you have? And especially related to your trading account, like what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish here in 2020? I'm really interested to know and to hear what kind of answers come through. So go on a vacation as soon as you can. I totally get that one. Help a neighbor. That one comes through every single time. Pay off student loans, pay off a debt, pay off all the credit cards, buy a new car. Yeah, it's just quit your job. Yeah, right. A lot of people, you know, against their will, they had to leave their job for a while. And some of you probably don't even want to go back to your job. And raise your hand if that's you, if that's the situation you're in, because I totally see where you're coming from. I totally get it. For me, this year is about three things: hitting big trades, having some consistent growth in my smaller trading accounts. So if you have a smaller trading account or a section of your risk capital that you want to really try to do something special with, I want to have some consistent growth, and I want to have less time in front of the screen, and I want to have more profits. So if you're anything like me, those are some goals that we might share in common. And I want to show you today my 1-2 punch plan, because it combines huge winning trades and consistent weekly winners and a minimal amount of time in front of the charts. So what I'm going to do today is explain my plan and how it works. I'm going to show you the strategy, and I'm going to explain why I think it's perfect for you as well. And I think it can complement any other kind of trading you're doing. And then I'm going to see if you want to join with me on this plan I put together and take advantage of a super offer I put together for the people who showed up for this. So if that sounds okay, give me a yes or a heck yes in the chat box. All right, it's great. It's awesome. Let's do it. Oh, and I'm going to help you kick off your goals by telling you about my favorite big trade idea at the end of this presentation. So back to my 3 goals. Number 1, hitting big trades. So that's a really big one for me. I want to have some trades in my accounts. I have an account set aside where I'm just trying to take the really big trades. So I've got my consistent trading, but in this other account, I want to have a winner every once in a while that rockets the trading capital forward and puts me in the black, and then playing with the house's money, so to speak. So hitting big trades is a big part of that. And this librarian, strangely enough, holds the secret to finding and taking those big trades. And more about that. But first, I have a confession to make, because I am absolutely obsessed about something. And I want to tell you what that is today, of course. And I mean obsessed. Remember that scene if you watched the movie The Big Short? This is one of those hedge funds from the movie The Big Short. So Steve Carell, AKA Michael Scarn, was running a hedge fund. And one day Ryan Gosling comes to him and says, "We don't even know how to value your positions," or blah, blah, blah. And while the rest of the firm is launching into orbit, shattering like glass and falling apart like a cheap suit, he sits there and realizes he's stumbled across what might be the greatest trade of all time. And The Big Short is a movie and a book and a real life story of how a big trade can change one's life. Those are life-changing trades, right? So if you've read the book, and many of you have, Market Wizards, right? It's the story of individuals who took risk and rocketed their capital for it. And this Market Wizards series features stories from most people who started when their back was against the wall with smaller amounts of trading capital and then made something for themselves in the markets. And in most cases, these are folks that wanted to be traders, but didn't really know how to do it at first. And so I left law school in 1998, was supposed to be studying for the bar exam, walked upstairs to the law firm, had a somewhat, no law firm job is ever a cushy law firm job, had a really high paying law firm job that I finagled my way and talked my way into, got upstairs, sat down at the desk. And when 1/2 of 10 minutes later, I walked into Jay's office, Jay Pimentel, I walked into his office and I said, "I can't do this. And there were 50 other people in line for this job. Why don't you just give it to the next person in line?" And that was the beginning of my journey as a trader, where I just couldn't bring myself to do something that didn't have the freedom that trading has. I couldn't bring myself to get just paid for my time and never be able to sort of be the master of my own domain and do my own thing. And I would never, under those circumstances, ever really be able to spend a significant amount of time with my friends and or my family. So I became obsessed, not just with trading during those years when I lived in the Bay Area and went to law school, but I became obsessed with finding the big trades. You see, this was around the time that Netscape went public and all of those tech companies were going public and market valuations were out of control. I was actually working a summer job in the compliance department of Montgomery Securities that took Netscape public. And I remember the day that Netscape went public, and I was doing compliance work to make sure this is for real. Sammy Hagar was opening an account, and Dennis Miller was opening an account, and all these celebrities were opening trading accounts. in order to get in on the IPO action. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be here in the compliance department checking their assets and their disclosures. I want to be finding big trades. So what if, let's move to the present day. What if you and I together were finding trades and our max risk was $1 and the reward for those trades was 20 bucks? We'd know they didn't come very often, right? But what if we could find them? What if we could stalk them, hunt them down, find them, take them, and profit from them? That would mean that $1 becomes $20, $20 becomes $400, and $400 becomes $8,000. It's pretty extraordinary, right? You could see how quickly you could scale an account with this, with big monster-sized gains. So I call them monster trades. Let's say you started with 25 bucks and we were trading together, and you took a 20-to-1 trade together with me. That would turn it into 500 bucks. That's pretty incredible. And what would you do with an extra 500 bucks? Let's see what the answers are. I love asking these questions, and I love seeing what the answers are. What would you do with an extra 500 bucks? Would you buy something? What would you do? I'm going to see the answers. Reinvest it. Heck, so these are really great answers. Like, some people just say they would reinvest it. And I think that's an amazing answer. Take the next trade, says Edward. Reinvest and trade more. So Julie Carlson, I'm going to put my email address up on I'm going to put it up on the screen later on. Julie Carlson, you write me an email and I'm going to send you 500 bucks. All right. So we're going to send you 500 bucks. Julie, you got to have Venmo or PayPal or something like that. We're going to send you, Julie Carlson, send me an email. I'll give you the email address at the end of the presentation. So let's all congratulate Julie. Remember, there's going to be more than one winner on the presentation. Everybody is supposed to be happy for Julie Carlson. You take that 500 bucks, Julie, and maybe we trade it together. Maybe you do something life-changing with it, because $500 over and over and over, especially if it only costs you 25 bucks to get into that trade, is life-changing. It's extraordinary, because a monster trade returns 20 bucks for every dollar invested or more. And by now, you know the power of awesome risk to reward ratios. So who's following me here? All right, we all on the same page here? So early on in the year, I spent an extra 2 hours every night meticulously breaking down every monster trade in the last 20 years. And I realized it would be a perfect complement to any other trading style. And I cracked the code. And these trades happen every month. So who's ready to learn how these trades work? Julie, you can also find me on social media. You can find me if you hashtag monster trades on Instagram or the Twitter, and you want to follow up with an answer, you want to follow up with a question, I'll answer you on the social medias. And somebody, if you want to take a screenshot of this right now on your computer, hashtag it and put it up on Twitter or Instagram. Somebody who does that today, today is Tuesday, somebody who does that today, I'll look you up on there, I'll send you a message, and I'll send you 500 bucks as well. So it's just my way of saying, I'm here for you. You're the most important person here right now. And whatever I could do to give back and help you with some starting capital. So somebody that hashtags monster trades, just take a screenshot of any slide in this presentation and hashtag monster trades. I'll find you, I'll track you down, and we'll send you 500 bucks. All right, let's get into it, because it's 15 minutes past the hour and we got to dive into the nerding out geek technical analysis stuff. Here are the 3 elements of a monster trade. First, a monster trade is something that we take from a repeatable pattern. I'm not interested in trading strategies that are not repeatable. I want to be able to take something and know that it could happen again. Number 2, we've got to have proper risk management. So our risk is low and our potential return is high. And then the third part of a monster trade is having other people in a community who can trade together, help each other, support one another. So first I want to teach you the crash pattern, and then I want to teach you the SSH librarian pattern. There's actually, for those of you that are interested, there's actually a really sweet crash pattern happening today. Forgot about this until just now, actually. Okay, we're going to look at a live chart today. I don't know if anybody wants to do that, but we're going to look at a trade today. So pattern number 1 is a flash crash, and flash crashes can happen up or down. You can see in the background of the screen here from my Bloomberg, you can see that sometimes a financial instrument will crash suddenly and then recover, or it will, especially after earnings, it will launch into the stratosphere and then come back down. So here's an example from the late 2000s, 2009. Sirius XM Holdings was trading for 5 pennies on the dollar, right? And this is around the time that there were lawsuits by folks and personalities and talent that was hired by Sirius XM. They were suing the company because the stock had been given to them as a part of their compensation package, and the stock was just doing terribly. And this is a crash pattern. It's a stock that crashes, or another financial instrument that absolutely crashes. And there are some elements here that I want to get into as we talk. And I want to walk you through how this goes from being what appears to be a falling knife, or what, the most unrecoverable loss of all time, to something like a 2,000% return. Earlier on in this year, me and my folks, we traded UVXY. And this became a $6,000 trade in a matter of hours, and it became a $20,000 trade. And then for one of my students, it became a $2.1 million trade. And this is right around the time that the UVXY, that the VIX had bottomed out and crashed so far for so long that no one ever thought it could come back. And the only regret I have is that I didn't buy more contracts. And the other regret is that the $20,000 profit that occurred from this trade could have been $330,000 if I had simply held it for another 10 days. But you take them, you make it, and then you get on with your life. So let me break down the elements of the crash pattern. The first element is a massive drop-off in volume and in price. So volume decreases at the bottom of a gigantic drop in the price of a financial instrument. Now, it can actually happen in reverse, and it can be a dramatic rise in the price of a financial instrument, especially after earnings. Now, these kinds of drop-offs, these precipitous sort of once-in-a-lifetime moves, they don't happen very often, obviously, but when they do happen, most of the people are running for the exits, heading out the door, don't want anything to do with these financial instruments. So we have an opportunity. When everybody else is panicking and running for the exits, we're actually showing up and taking part, and we're taking that off their hands. The next element is number 2 that you see on the screen here. It's 2, 3, 4 monthly missed pivots. Now, if you have never used a pivot point before, in just a moment, I'm going to show you how to get pivot points on your screen. It's super easy, and every major charting platform can do it, and I'll show you how to do it on tradingview.com. The next thing that you're going to get is a trend line breakthrough, and you're going to get a resurgent move that comes from this. Because these are the kinds of trades that can make a difference in your account and your life, we keep standing levels in place for potential crashes. So what I'm going to do is jump over here to Wayfair for just a minute. So Wayfair has this absolutely gigantic move over the course of the last month and a half. You see, mid-March, March 19th, in fact, Wayfair was trading for around $20, $22 a share. Just a short while later, a couple weeks later, month later, it was up 500%, and now 700+%. Do you know how many other stocks that trade with this much volume have made a 500 or 700% gain? None. It's the only one. System-wide, stock market-wide, this is the only one. Wayfair is a heavily indebted company that just reported a boost in sales and a boost in the number of new customers, but a widening loss. It's pretty ridiculous that a stock that's losing money, that's heavily indebted, that doesn't actually have enough money to pay its short-term debts, is rising like this. Well, there's something else going on at the same time with Wayfair. And what I want to do is I want to take some levels off of the screen, and I want to show you how to get them on there. So I'm here on tradingview.com, and I can simply click on the indicator button, and I can type pivot and go to pivot points standard, X this out, double click on it, change the pivot time frame to monthly, change the style so that the pivot is purple. That's what color I like it to be. And then I can remove all of the other support and resistance levels. And now I've got monthly pivots on my screen. So I've already got those set up. So I'm just going to reverse everything I just did to put everything back the way it was. And I have weekly and monthly pivots on the screen. And the lines that extend off to the right mean that that pivot point was never hit. You see, pivot points weekly pivot points, daily pivot points, and monthly pivot points, they are generally hit 85, 90% of the time in the week, month, or day that they were created. But in some cases, when a financial instrument makes a meteoric move and just absolutely goes bananas or melts upwards or crashes upward, it misses a bunch of pivots. And these, all these green lines and the purple line below are what we call missed pivot points. And I'm going to make a bold statement here, and I wouldn't suspect that you wanted me to be here if I couldn't make a bold statement. There's a 100% chance that Wayfair hits its $125 level. In my experience, that weekly pivot, that green line you see on my screen, there's a 100% chance, in my experience, that within the next 4 weeks, that level is hit. Now, if I have a high probability target on a financial instrument that moved too far, too fast, and I buy, let's say, the 125 strikes, buy the puts with the $125 strike, or even buy the in-the-money $167 strikes, or even did a vertical call spread for those of you that like some sophisticated strategies, I'd be doing something that had a very high probability of success. Why? Because we've got a melt upward. We've got missed pivot levels below. And we've got a financial instrument that has done something that no other financial instrument has done, even in the midst of the recent recovery. That's why I keep a standing number of financial instruments always in place to watch for these potential crashes up or down. And that's just one pattern. We look for two more. I look for patterns because, as Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. You see, if you find a pattern that works in the stock market and the currency market and the futures market, it typically will work across other financial instruments over time and space. The problem that most of us have is that we find a pattern, it works, we trade it, it doesn't work for a little while, we give up, we move on, and then a year later we come back and realize if we had just stayed with the same pattern that we were using, we would have been perfectly and completely just fine. So I look for patterns that are repeatable. And once you find that a pattern repeats over and over, then you know that you've found something special. So pattern number 2, the SSH pattern, the librarian pattern, right? That's what you're wondering? Well, let's take a look at it. So it's inspired by the librarian that tells you to shush while you're in the library. And I call it this for a very particular and important reason. You see, we're all familiar with the head and shoulders pattern, right? We're totally familiar with the head and shoulders pattern. If you've seen the head and shoulders pattern before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A head and shoulders pattern is, and I'll just move the chart over here and I'll draw it. It looks like that, right? You know, shoulder, head, shoulder. And it's an early warning sign of a reversal. Doesn't always happen, but it's an early warning sign of it. And an inverted head and shoulders pattern is an early warning sign, not a guarantee, but a suggestion and an early warning sign that price will reverse back upward. But something happens when everybody in the world starts to trade the same pattern, right? What happens when everyone in the world starts to know what the pattern is? It starts to break down, right? It starts to not work as well. And that's where we get the SSH pattern. It's like a head and shoulders pattern, only just a little bit different. Shoulder, head, or is it a head? Or is it a shoulder? And then we move down. You see, what happens a lot of times nowadays is you get a shoulder, and then you get what people think is the head, but it's really just another shoulder on the side. The brokers force the price, market makers force the price through the top. Folks stop out, it makes new highs, and then it crashes and does exactly what everyone who was shorting it thought it was going to do in the first place. And I call this the SSH pattern because it's two shoulders and a head afterwards, or two shoulders on the left side and then a head down below. So here it is on the screen in front of us, and there's some interesting things going on in this chart. We have bullish divergence. That's the disagreement between price and an oscillator. That bullish divergence happens because price is falling, but the relative strength index is rising. What we also have during this time is we have an overall overall declining amount of volume. Do you see that here? In both of these charts, you have a declining. Volume is declining. So we have not just price divergence, but we have volume divergence. Price is making new lows, but volume isn't going up to match it. It's lowering as well. Like the enthusiasm for this movement lower has dissipated. What you also have is a low, a lower low, and then an extreme lower low off to the side. That's what I call the shoulder head, or the SSH pattern. What happens at the end of all of this setting up is the market breaks through a level of resistance and it takes off upward. This happens over and over and over again. This is Dillard's. Dillard's falls lower and lower and lower. It has bullish divergence on price and the relative strength index. Volume overall starts to dissipate, especially off here to the side in the beginning months, beginning days of June. And then it breaks through a resistance level and Dillard's just takes off. On the far right side of the screen, by the way, you're actually looking at the inverse crash pattern. Dillard's eventually came much back down lower and crashed itself. And when you make 44% in the first 3 hours of a trade, like on this silver trade, you know you have something special, or 7.8% in a day with the potential for another 100% of gains on the first trade that we took as a group. That's pretty incredible. And this one actually is ready to go right now. Or what about 32.5% in a day? The only problem here is that I didn't buy enough contracts. I won't make the same mistake there. Or how about $9,122 in a day? And the only problem, once again, was on this day, I didn't buy enough contracts. I won't make that mistake again. So these are the types of trades you see that really make a difference in your account. And they make a difference in your life. And I want to geek out and do some technical analysis here, but not before I show you another one of these, 19.42% before breakfast, with the potential for 1,000% gain from here. You could actually still get in on this trade. And it works on stocks, it works on currencies as well. I made a living in the currency markets for a long time, and now I trade a bit of everything. But it even works here too. A $486 winner on the Euro New Zealand dollar, not trading very many contracts, never taking a significant amount of risk, but giving myself the potential to make a gigantic return. I mean, these are the types of gains: 426% on XLF, 220% on GLD, 44% in 1 day on SLB. Pretty incredible stuff, especially now that gold is on this savage, ridiculous tear. Or how about a 101% return on the British pound? Or a current open Australian dollar position with a target of 200+%. These types of trades span across all financial instruments. And they can be taken inside of a regular brokerage account through FX or ETFs, futures, even options on ETFs, or even just plain old regular stocks. And I couldn't find a legit source for monster trades, for the big trades, so I created one. Would you like to look at a few more examples? How does that sound to you? If you want to look at some more examples, just give me a yes, and let's take a look. If you scan on your charting platform and you look for stocks that have really had a giant day today, really gigantic moves, you're going to find the crash pattern. Take IPGP, for example. What a gigantic move upward today. That's actually melting up and crashing upward and setting us up for something absolutely extraordinary. Or how about, I don't know, WRK or HBIO or any of these that are crashing lower. These could all very well, and these could all become pretty substantial and gigantic trades that have a long, long way to go. And so I'm looking every single day for the types of trades, for the types of financial instruments that are ready to crash or are in the process of crashing, either upward or downward. Because if they do, I could potentially have a gigantic, massive reversal trade. Wayfair is at the top of the list today. Just a giant, giant move upward today. Tesla is a famous crash pattern financial instruments known for melting upward and then crashing down lower. I want you to take some notes on this one, my friends. This is a big one. This is one that I hope every single one of you is paying attention to. This is PDD, Pinduoduo. It's a Chinese internet commerce company, and it crashed upward, but this company has massive amounts of debt, and a totally and completely and massively unjustifiable run upward, fundamentally speaking, in price. And it's just now, my friends, producing the inverse crash pattern from which I expect it to go much, much lower. Now, the options on PDD are a little bit dicier, not as much volume. There's enough to trade it. But you might find that there's not enough open interest to really get the kind of trade that you want. But there's plenty of volume in the shares, 5.78 million and so forth. So I couldn't find a place to get these, a legit source for monster trades, these big trades, so I created one. And so I told you I've got something special for you today, and here it is. I want to cycle through some of the most famous financial instruments, and maybe some of the ones that people don't even know they look at, or could look at, or should look at. And I want to show you what's going on with some of these. So recently, in the depths of this sell-off, companies like Procter & Gamble flash crashed lower and then recovered. Look at 3M. That is a 1,000 bajillion% flash crash. Sharp drop lower, price moving down, but the RSI moving up, and then monthly pivot points and even weekly pivot points above where we are. The green pivot points are green and the monthly pivot points are purple. That is an absolutely awesome crash pattern. Here's Amgen, CVS, LMT, Lockheed Martin Corporation, flash crashed. Now, flash crash is what most people, they throw that word around and they're talking about, you know, fat finger, giant market moves that immediately get taken back. I'm talking about some, you know, we have a more flexible definition of what a crash pattern is. So I'm looking at some other big stocks. Maybe we find another really nice example. Oracle, gaps lower on earnings. Like some people say, oh my gosh, it gapped lower on earnings. I don't want to buy Oracle. And then it turns out that that would have been an incredibly intelligent thing to do. All right, let's see what else is on the list. Oh, Applied Materials Corporation didn't do a crash pattern. Cisco didn't do a crash pattern. CMC, it didn't do. Facebook really didn't do it. Visa didn't really do it. VMware didn't really do it, and so forth. I want you to get in the habit of looking at some of your favorite financial instruments and favorite companies and looking for times when they melt upward, they crash upward, or they crash downward, and look for these opportunities for reversals. We're also going to look at a smaller, slightly smaller cap version of the flash crash pattern on smaller cap stuff. Stamps.com jumps up. See, when this jumped up after earnings, I can imagine people are like, there's no way I'm shorting that. Turns out, Stamps.com fell from a high of 184 down to a low of 96 and did it with all in the space of 30 days. So there's AbbVie, there's LDOS, there's DLX, there's WW, EAF, and so much more. You can see here that why I would want to find stocks that can crash and then recover in the opposite direction. So I told you I've got something special for you today, and here it is. I've been developing an entire trading alert program specifically around these trades, literally sharing my monster trades game plan, where to enter specific trades, where to target, how to manage them, everything. Just like those folks that you remember seeing in The Big Short. So here's a story from The Big Short. Here's a trading story that I just absolutely love. There's this guy that worked for John Paulson, right? John Paulson, the hedge fund manager, who made a killing in the mortgage crisis. This guy's name was Paolo Pellegrini, and he worked for Paulson inside the hedge fund. And he's the guy that pitched the subprime mortgage trade to Paulson. And at the time, he was just a hedge fund analyst and trader, and he wasn't making, relatively speaking here, for his quality of life and for where he lived and everything like that, he wasn't doing great. And they'd taken the trade, they had taken the subprime mortgage crisis trade, and he took his new wife on vacation in the Caribbean. Stopped at a cash machine in the hotel lobby to withdraw some cash, and his wife checked the balance of their bank account. On the screen was a figure that startled her, $45 million deposited in their joint account. It was part of Pellegrini's $175 million bonus that year. Think about that for a second. It's absolutely incredible. Imagine doing that. Imagine going up to the ATM and having that experience. These are the types of trades that really make a difference in your account and in your life. So at the beginning of the year, I set up a brand new account, $10,000 account, usually sometimes $2,000 account. And I set it up and I get it ready for monster trading. This account is now at, I'm just going to pull it up here. We can look at it too. This account is now at $67,000, $68,000, $69,000. So these are the, if you want to watch me try to turn these smaller accounts into something specifically big with these kinds of trades, I think you're going to love it. So as part of this webinar, and thanks to Jeanette and Pat and everyone, thank you so much for putting all this together. As part of this webinar, I have a way for you to get every monster trade signal for the next 365 days for free. And I think just taking advantage of monster trades will change your life. But I want to get back to my 3 goals. Hitting big trades, having consistent growth, and less screen time and more profit. So we've taken care of hitting big trades with monster trades. And I'd be lying if I said monster trading is the only consistent type of trading that I do, because it's not. Hunting monsters takes patience, and by default, 20-to-1 trades don't come by more than once a month or so. So when I looked at my goals for this year, I had to fill in the gaps with more trades. I want to be able to take some trades. And I did that with what I call ghost pivots. So here they are. For those of you for whom this is brand new, today I would like to introduce you to ghost pivots. So ghost pivots on stocks and currencies and futures is next month's, or tomorrow's pivot shown today. What strangely happens is the following. We'll look at, I don't know. Let's look at Wayfair. Wayfair's got a brand new monthly pivot in purple for the month of May. And price is automatically drawn to that level. Let me just give you an example of what I mean. In the month of January of this year, price moved away from the monthly pivot, but then it eventually fell back lower to it. And then immediately at the start of the month, rose to the next month's pivot. And then in the month of March, it traveled away from the pivot, but then it had to go back up and rise to hit it. And then it came back down to hit the April pivot. And now at the beginning of May, we're way above the monthly pivot. It's likely that over the course of the next 30 to 60 days, price will drop to the monthly pivot. This happens on all kinds of financial instruments. Just look at stamps.com for a minute. Flash crashes upward and then drops at the beginning of the next month after to go to its monthly pivot point. And it starts the month off right at the pivot. And then this month, it's already moving away from the monthly pivot. No matter how far it moves away, it wants to come back and hit that monthly pivot. Excuse me, just wanted to make sure I didn't have dry mouth. So every single financial instrument in the world wants to hit its monthly pivot. Now, if you don't want to bother with calculating monthly pivots and bother about doing all this technical analysis mumbo jumbo, then I've already got it all done for you. But look at NVIDIA. NVDA starts off a new month, and then what's the first thing it wants to do? It wants to go up and hit the monthly pivot. Or look at the SPY. At the end of one month and beginning of the next, price wants to go to the next week's pivot, and it wants to go to the previous week's pivot down here. Price wants to hit its pivots. And you see this time and time and time again. Here's IWM. In the middle of a month, it drops and hits the monthly pivot. At the end of the month, then, it starts to rise as if to rise up to this ghost pivot level, this weekly pivot. And if you don't want to do these calculations, you don't have to do these calculations. It's pretty awesome. I can simply do them for you. Even Apple at the beginning of the week wants to drop to and hit its brand new weekly pivot. And that's why I call them ghost pivots, because they don't exist yet, but they're out there. Next week's pivots are out there waiting for us. You can take trades to get them. And the beauty of combining monster trades with ghost pivots is that it creates a perfect synergy of huge gains and consistent wins. And that crosses off my first two items off of my needs for 2020, hitting big trades and having consistent growth. Now, here's where it gets really fun. I could immediately cross the third goal off the list because these two strategies are my most efficient time strategies as well. Monster Trades is one report at the beginning of the month targeting 20 to 1 trades. You enter and you wait. And ghost pivots are 10 minutes a day on Thursday mornings and 10 minutes a day on the last day of the month. Piece of cake, super easy. And this Thursday, we have a bunch more of these trades coming up. Dirty little secret for Monster Trade members, I'm going to send out an alert on Wednesday about Wayfair. Boom. We've hit the big trades, we've done the consistent growth, and 3, we're spending less time in front of the charts. So that's my plan. So now I'd like to ask you if it's okay if I explain this offer I came up with to give you the entire blueprint for each strategy and every single one of my personal monster trade signals for free. So if that's okay with you, give me a heads up, give me a yes. I'll just grab a little drink of water and mute my microphone while I do it so you don't have to listen to me, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. A bunch of yeses. Okay, thanks so much. So it's kind of a crazy deal because the alerts are usually $997 a year for the service. And my team consistently informs me that that's way underpriced. But I'm literally giving them away today if you take advantage of learning the trading blueprint, which I'm also going to discount. But the reason I want to do this is I want you to be independent and self-sufficient and learn how to do this. So I'm literally giving those signals away. So can I take a moment and run through this with you and show you what I've got for you? All right, deep breath. Then I'm going to show you my #1 big trade idea too. I've already showed you Wayfair. I've got another one that I want to show you. So first of all, here's what we got for you. Monster Pattern Bootcamp. I am going to show you exactly how I trade these patterns, where to find them, how to identify them, what makes them big, big potential trades, and why they look different from the rest of other ordinary trades, and everything you need to know to become a master of monster trades. The Monster Pattern Bootcamp includes recordings of each of the monster patterns, how to follow them, how to find them on your own. And all of those are right now located in your members area, and they're on demand. You can watch them anytime. And plus, I do more bonus live Q&A sessions on a regular basis to make sure you're trading plan. You'll get all the details about the monster trade, not just spoon feeding the trade, but also giving you the reason that we're in the trade. And each one of those trades will have the potential to pay you 10 times, 20 times, or even 50 times your total investment in the position. Then I want to give you ultimate money management. We all know that money management is so important, and trading doesn't really mean anything without it. And in monster trading, understanding how to leverage your profit and control your risk is more important than ever. And that's why I've decided to devote an entire section of the members area to ultimate money management. Don't worry, you don't have to waste hours on your time on risk lectures. You already know trading is risky, right? But I'll give you a quick and dirty blueprint on how to use smart money management to grow your account more quickly with limited downside. So then I want to give you the monster support, because we literally can't wait to work with you on this. And so a bunch of you don't know this, but I'm now a member of a large company based here in Jacksonville. I flew down to the headquarters to see everyone. And there's 80 folks now inside the company, all backing up everything that we do. It's pretty amazing. And we've got a whole team of people that are ready to answer your questions and get back to you as soon as you write in. But I also want to give you the Ghost Pivots Blueprint. You get my complete Ghost Pivots Masterclass on demand as soon as you access the members area. And I'll walk you through my entire blueprint for how to locate and set up Ghost Pivot trades. This is the formula for spending 10 minutes twice a week to generate consistent winners. You'll also learn the best financial instruments to trade with Ghost Pivots and more. Then I'm going to give you the Ghost Pivot Charting Ultimate Guide. Because charting for Ghost Pivots is important, well, you find them using charts, right? So I've added a class completely focused on setting up your charts for this type of trading with step-by-step instructions and examples so you can begin finding these trades in real markets immediately. And then I'm going to give you the Ghost Pivot Library of Trades. This is my favorite way to teach you the Ghost Pivots trading strategy. And that's what the Library of Ghost Pivots is all about. Real trades in multiple markets that give you a deep dive understanding on how they work, managing different scenarios, understanding different markets, and much more. All right, I'm just checking the time here to make sure I'm doing okay. It looks like I am. So it's a complete real-world guide to Ghost Pivots. And then I want to give you unlimited support so you can ask questions anytime. And the whole package is a $2,997 a year package. But like I said, we went a little crazy to make this a no-brainer for everyone who put in the effort to show up today for this. So if you're ready, give me a heck yes if you're ready for this. First of all, I want to give you the signals for free because that's the way I think you're going to make the money. So right off the bat, that's $997 off. We're down to $2,000 a year now. Then I convinced the team to take 50% off the price. And now the price is $997 a year. But hold on, I'm going to get a little crazier. My team actually hates it when I do this. Because I got to thinking, my plan goes beyond 2020. I want to take huge, life-changing trades, having a strategy to grow your account consistently week in and week out, and spend more time with your family. That's not a 2020 thing. That's a life thing, right? So for today, I want to give you everything we talked about for life. And warning, before I post the link and let you in, I need to tell you, we've got spots for 10 folks in the next hour because we're going to have Daniel do a special welcome concierge call with you to get to know you, get you up to speed, and show you some personal attention where you deserve it. So just as a warning, we've got spots for 10 people who want to take these big trades. If you want to get in on this next big trade, now's the time. So here it is. You get the Monster Patterns Bootcamp, the newsletter, the mastermind access, the ultimate money management access, the Ghost Pivots Blueprint, the Ghost Pivots Library, the Ghost Pivots Ultimate Charting Guide, the Ghost Pivots Inner Circle Tapes. That's $10,476 of value a year, but it is $997 lifetime as a special here for Jeanette and my mother-in-law, Pat, and my wife, Nikki, who work together all here and who put this whole thing together. And this is a special for this EMC webinar for the first 10 traders. And you can go to robbooker.com/EMC right now, or call if you want to talk to somebody on the phone here I don't think anybody's in the office still. I'm the only one kind of hanging out at the office. But anyway, call 321-888-3961. You want to talk to a real person, they'll route your call to one of the folks. You'll talk to David Gilmore or Adam or someone else. Go to robbooker.com/EMC or call 321-888-3961. You can let me know that you're in here in the chat box. Once again, you can call Rob Booker. You can call me. You can just ring me up. You'll ring the team. They'll answer the phone. 321-888-3961 or robbooker.com/EMC. So here we have everything on the screen here. You get the Monster Patterns Bootcamp. That's $1997. The Monster Trades newsletter that shows you the trades. We just wrote the May newsletter. That's worth $997. The Mastermind Access worth $1997. The Ultimate Money Management worth $497. The Ghost Pivots Blueprint worth $1997. The Ghost Pivots Library worth $497. The Ghost Pivots Ultimate Charting Guide worth $497. The Ghost Pivots Inner Circle Tapes worth $997. That's $10,476 of value a year. But right now, you don't pay for a yearly subscription. You pay once, never pay again, and you get lifetime access. $997 lifetime. Go to robbooker.com/EMC. People sometimes ask, well, how long is your life going to be? And I'm like, I'm going to be doing this for the next 20 years. So 20 years of trading 20-to-1 trades together. And then my daughter, Olivia, is going to take over the business. So one of you is also today going to get a top secret envelope delivered to your house after you sign up. So one of you is going to get an envelope. And it's going to look like this. It's going to say top secret on it. It's going to be addressed to you. And inside that envelope is going to be $500 for you and $500 for your favorite charity. And you just divide it up as you see fit. So one of you that is here today, we're going to send that out to you, and you'll get that in the mail as part of our thank you. We always like to make it fun to be a member. You can go to robbooker.com/EMC or call 321-888-3961. And here's the other little secret. I got on a plane the other day and it was packed and it was safe and everybody was starting to fly again. So I think people are going to start flying again pretty soon, if not already. So what I want to do as the travel restrictions get lifted and as we start to move around again, I want to put one of you, one of our members, on an all expenses flight to see me at my office in Houston, Texas. So one of our members this year, within the next 3 months, when we have our monster trades get together, we're going to fly you out to the office. We're going to hang out together for the day. We're going to trade together. We have one other winner already who's going to come along with you. And for any other monster trades members that want to come along, you just pay your own expenses. You come out to the office too. We'll plan these trades together. We'll look at the brand new versions of the strategy together. We'll get you on a plane. I want you to come to my office this year and let's work on your goals. You join me at robbooker.com/EMC or call 321-888-3961. We'll put you up for the lucky winner. We'll put you up at the Marriott in the Woodlands. We'll bring you to the office in a car, and then we'll fly you all expenses paid out to the office to hang out and work together. Once again, and don't forget, there's a top secret envelope going out for one new subscriber today. In that envelope, we're going to send it to your house. There's $500 for you, $500 to your favorite charity, plus an all expense paid trip to my office to trade together. You can go to robbooker.com/EMC right now. Once again, we got folks taking calls. You can call 321-888-3961. And awesome. Pierre's in, Wayne's in, Wilson's in, ONT, and I won't say the rest of your email addresses in. It's great to have you on board. We've got 5 of those spots filled right now, and we're gonna be on a call with you within the, Charles is in. All right, folks, you gotta grab your spot if you want it. And now I wanna talk about one of, or a couple of my favorite ideas right now. There's a bunch of them, my friends, but let me walk you through something here. So I promised this when we started, got a few minutes left. I keep a list of some small cap companies that have tons of trading volume that are ready to just go bananas. And the next one is ready right now. And the ticker symbol is FCEL. There it is. Pull it up on your chart. It's trading for $2.04 a share. And I think within the next, let's just take a look here. These targets are awesome. Can double in price within the next 90 days, or even get to higher than $5.50 a share. That's a missed weekly pivot from March of 2019. Once again, FCEL, Fuel Cell Energy Incorporated. And there's insider buying. There's, it's already had an explosive move upward, settled back down a bit, and is ready for another leg of its move. I promise to share an idea with you that I think is going to be a monster trade. Listen, folks, there's another one. There's actually 3 more of these trades inside the newsletter for May, and the prices are still at the same level they were at when I wrote the newsletter just a day ago. So you jump on board, you grab it. I got to put the link back up on the screen. So that's the trade. You get the Monster Patterns Bootcamp. You get the Monster Trades newsletter. You get the mastermind access, the ultimate money management, the Ghost Pivots blueprint, the Ghost Pivots library, the Ghost Pivots ultimate trick charting guide, the Ghost Pivots inner circle tapes, all of that, and the indicators for your charts on top of everything else for $9.97 lifetime. It's not a monthly cost. There's no reoccurring charge here. It's a one-time, you're in, you make the investment, you make it back, and you get it forever. Super excited to have you come on board for that. I'm getting tons of messages here. I'm getting tons more. Here we go. Hold on, there's 4 more. So Wayne is in, and okay, they're now just flying by. So we have 6 or 7 of them are taken, and you still have a few minutes here with 4 minutes to go. You still have a few minutes to jump in and grab a spot. Super excited that we're here today. So getting some questions here from the team. Do I have to have a large account? Nope. You don't have to have a large account. You can start with especially for these, you can start with I would want you to start with a very small trading account that you can just massively grow. So $100, a $200 trading account. Doe, that broker that charges no commission, perfect place to take these trades. And if you have a bigger account, you can take them with a bigger account too. Are these complicated options strategies? No, they don't have to be. I mean, you can apply an options strategy to these trades, but you don't have to. It's not required. You can actually just trade shares right from your phone in an ordinary brokerage account. No fancy, crazy stuff required. You can just take it in any old brokerage account right away. Okay, are these penny stocks? No, they're not really penny stocks. I mean, there can be small cap stocks with millions of shares of volume. So there's no kind of worry that you get in and then you can't get out. These are stocks with, in some cases, like 20 million shares of volume every day. And sometimes they're a little bit more expensive stocks and you could trade an option. And then sometimes they're just $2 stocks, or one of the most recent ones was like a 68-cent stock that went to $2.20 pretty quickly. So there you have it, everybody. Super happy that I got to be here with you all. Thank you so much, everyone. Raleigh, thanks for introducing me so kindly, and thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate the chance to be here together with you all. I love coming on this stuff. Hi, Jeanette. It's good to see you.
Hey, Rob. Thank you.
Hey, Rob, thank you very much. That was a great presentation. It's always delightful to have you, and I'm glad I was able to share a little bit of that backstory, not only with the team here, but for all the guests that we have here, because that's pretty incredible. And I think, once again, everybody would join me here. You know, here's a young man that went through school but knew what he wanted to do from a young age. And here he is now, still a young man, highly successful and committed to helping us all just be better and more consistent at what we do and financially independent. Rob, kudos to you. Thank you so much for coming today.